I'm getting so tired. I'm getting so.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here, y'all. I have a special guest in the house. This is a friend of mine. His name is John Lacey Lavelle. This brother is someone that I think is often overlooked when it comes to the insight that he has about life, the criminal world, prison, religion. And I just wanted to talk to him because this is his fifth time in. And for someone that, to me, that is so enlightened, I wanted to talk to him about what is it that he encounters, what things that he has he encountered in his life that has put him in a position where he's been in and out of here, but at the same time, you know, this brother's really amazing. He maintains this sense of purpose, even when he is down, even when his situation looks dire. And I just wanted to talk to him and get a little insight on that. But let me give you a little bit more about him. He's a 54-year-old married man. He has 6 kids and 7 grandchildren, y'all. And those individuals that are in his life, in his circle right there, are the people that are going to be influenced by his behavior. And I want to make sure that I give an accurate depiction of, you know, the things that he's experienced and all that, but I'm going to let him do the talking. I know how some of y'all say, Joe, when you do an interview, let your people talk that you're interviewing. So I'm going to do that. Lacey, how you doing, brother? Thank you for doing this.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing great, and just giving honor to God for this opportunity to share with the world through your podcast. You being blessed to be able to be a voice from behind the walls to reach outside the walls. So that's a blessing, and my head is clear, and I thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. Now, one of the things that I do on the show is I make sure that everybody that's listening to the show understands that this podcast is not about glorifying crime, it's about deterring crime. And I share true stories about what's going on and what has happened in our lives.
Absolutely.
Either firsthand or witness. And before you get into, you know, some of the exploits that, you know what I'm saying, that kind of shaped certain parts of your experience, right? I'm not going to say life, but your experience. Well, is there anything that I left out that you would like to tell people about yourself, you know?
Well, in those 5 times, coming in at 95, aggravated assault, kidnapping.
And how old were you?
I was 1995, I had to be 25 or 26, not to hold up time to count back from 1969. But young and getting my feet wet in prison and learning how things go, and actually wanting to go to prison versus doing the time in the county. I had an option, and I chose prison because my church life and married life collided, and I didn't want to be around those that I knew. I respond and react better when I'm on the road, quote unquote, if playing sports. So that's how old I was, and I went to South Central first and did 3 years and paroled out in 98. The second time, I stayed out 10 years. The second time, selling drugs by force kind of, and not by choice, by having so many kids, by several women, 5 in all. And I had to take care of them, so this is an honest show, not glorifying drugs, but I sold drugs to take care of myself because all of my checks went to my children. I tell them I want my epitaph on my tombstone. He was this, that, and the third, but he wasn't a deadbeat dad. So after that time, getting out in 2014, still wasn't through yet. Got a few kids that's still grown, having to pay for them, trying to get back in the local 429 union, pursuing a legit life and having a couple of business on the side, junking, scrapping metal, and landscaping along with a 9-to-5 electrician. Got caught up with some more drugs, had to come back and add on to my parole time, plus start a new sentence. Did 5 on that, paroled out in 2021 from this facility, was out almost 2 years and caught a technical violation, no new charges. The the misdemeanor was dismissed, but the parole board still wanted me to bring on some time. So that's kind of how my story goes. And as you ask more questions, I can get into some details about some exploits and situations.
Yeah, because I know we were talking the other day, and you were telling me about, back in the day, way back in the day when you would be coming back and forth from Detroit and all this. So tell me some of those stories that got you into the game. What got you into the streets? You know what I'm saying?
Well, coming off the porch in Detroit at 12 and 13 with a single mom, as I'm coming off the porch, my little brother was born from his dad, who was a Vietnam veteran, heroin addict, struggling to get his life together while I'm coming off the porch. And I had a good role model in my uncle, who was at my birth, the late great Reverend James C. Powell. But at the same time, at 12 and 13, with my dad down south, my only guidance, he couldn't do it all. And so my only other role models were the 3 Ps, pimps, pushers, and players. So we looked at them as role models, even though they said don't be like us. It's kind of like a dad who says, son, don't smoke cigarettes while he's firing up a Newport. So we're going to try it ourselves. And before you know it, you get entangled in that and things going on. And my mom migrated back to the South because my mom and dad are both from Nashville. And so coming to the South, going to school, having babies young, and wanting to be a father, and making a vow that I would never go back to Detroit or any other state after having children in one state. So as I got, I don't want to say stuck in Nashville, but as I became a parent in Nashville, still trying to discover who I am and be a man, and growing up with all of this, you get caught up in the system. As me and you talked about the new Jim Crow, it's like a faucet with water, with stick people, and you just go through the system, and some make it out of the drain and some don't. And so with that being said, my situation now, still from that activity, I'm still caught in the system because I'll be paroling again, trying to maneuver my way and get out of the drain, the prison drain, prison water system, if you would call it. But, as you ask other questions, a lot of things go with being caught up in the game, selling drugs. You got to protect the dope.
So how'd you get into the game?
I just, like I said, watching them, always having a hustler instinct, honestly, whatever kind of job I had, then I just put some money into it. I never had a front man or a big man. I just made my own way because I didn't want to be owned by nobody, so to speak.
So how did you know, at a young age, how did you know who to go to? Because I want this to be something that parents can listen to, or people that got loved ones in their lives that might be trying to venture off or already ventured out in the street. Because a lot of people don't understand, how is it that you can wake up one day and decide you're going to be a drug dealer and know where to go?
Well,
and know who to get it from.
Well, I would say first I'm gonna give a percentage and ratio that most kids coming out of a double parent family, dad and mom, their percentages are less of the streets getting them and the gangs getting them. So me just watching everybody in my neighborhood, watching them and wanting things, having a single mom and a little brother wanting things. You also, as Tupac would say in Dear Mama, he wanted to help his mama. So you got wanting to help your mama, wanting things for myself, having to take care of children, finding my way, and before you know it, it's just like an insect getting caught in the spider's web. The more you try to get out, the more you're actually getting tangled into it. So just watching the big guys in the neighborhood, as they would say today, if I was affiliated, the big homies, and they watch and recruit and see that you got a hustle about you, so they help you out along the way, giving you the do's and don'ts of the game, and you just kind of grow and grow and grow, and then before you know it, you just in it. And as I said, in my case, which I don't knock nobody else's situation, why they do it, but I did it more out of force and a need versus the shine and the glitz and the glamour, the cars, the money, the gold, and the girls and all of that. I did it more as a need, but I shined a little bit in the process and was able to travel to other places and the surrounding United States and everything in it, but like the World Trade Center, it all tumbled down and come back, wind up in prison, the same cycle. And so as I got older, I saw that wasn't the way. And I'm sure you're going to get on into religion and spirituality next. Plus, on the inside, my burning desire to please God, all in the mix of it, giving credit to Him. I'm glad I'm not dead or doing a whole bunch of time because of how many times I've been caught with drugs. So that's a blessing in itself. But
so when did you find this sense or discover this sense of spirituality?
well,
How old were you, as best as you can remember? And go ahead.
as I said, it's like Criminal Minds shows. They always go back to the root of the unsub. So I would say it was on me since birth, since I wasn't born in a hospital. I was born in my aunt's house, 17861 Fleming Street. He was a pastor and she was a pastor's wife, so I guess it was on me since birth. But just coming up in the church, having him to guide and making sure I go to church, do Sunday school, that never left me. And so as I got older, it got about 21, 22, I had a calling on my life, but I was best character in comic books would be Two-Face on Batman. A part of me wants to seek and chase after God and live righteous, but the other part of me is hooked on this image and selling drugs and being this person. I had one of my kids' mama would say, sometimes you're just going through an identity crisis, to where you're struggling within yourself between the two. So that side has won out, and I thank God for it, to where, like I said, when I was released in 2021, I went back to school. 2023, finished my BA degree, HBCU. Let me clap for that. HBCU, the Great American Baptist College, where John Lewis, representative senator from Georgia, Democratic for years. John Lewis is a graduate of our school. I'm happy to be an alumni with him. And so that side has really won out. And so both ends in the plan, both ends in the middle, straddled in the fence. I'm grateful to be here, because there's many that didn't, because God could say, okay, I've had enough, come here. So I'm grateful to be able to share, and my story and everything, and that's pretty much it.
How did you, when you were dealing with this, we'll say this identity crisis, how did you conquer or tame, or whatever word you would want to use, how did you tame that side of you that was pulled towards the streets? Because I'm sure a lot of people out there, young people or older people, in either way, are out there struggling with that issue right now. So what would you say to them? You know what I'm saying? If they're struggling with that, what would you say to them on how they can help tame that side of them or overcome that side?
First of all, you would have to do that with tone, tact, and timing, because this is a new generation. And even though they're crying out for help and guidance, we can see it being in our 50s. But we have to take a new approach, unlike the OGs would do us when we were 10, 11, and 12. So I would just tell them, as I do some around here, whoever bites and get hooked on my line of me pulling them up, talking to them over 7 or 8 months that I'm here, a year or whatever, I talk to them a little bit at a time, because it's not really much to say, and you can't come across as a know-it-all and all of that, because they're looking for fathers in you and me and you. They're looking for uncles. Some of them call me granddaddy. Some of them call me unc. Some of them call me OG, because we got 20 numbers and they got 60 numbers.
I got one number.
Yeah, you got a one number, excuse me.
Yeah,
but I got a 20 number. So my approach is to first scan the field.
Yeah.
So to scan the field, watch, and by you living it, it's already a magnetic pull. And so when I get to talk to some of them, and they may show me the pictures of their families, their kids, and this and that, and they tell me about their time, their charges, and things like that, I would say, hey, you got a lot to live for out there. And as far as the spirituality, religious part, I bring that on the back end, because sometime when you come kick front door with God and Jesus and this or that or whoever, that pushes them away. And so, and it's an old saying in preaching, people would rather see a sermon than hear one any day. So first I try to practice what I preach, and then just sprinkle a little salt and pepper. And the Bible says you are the salt of the world. Salt does three things. It cures the meat, it preserves the meat, and it seasons the meat. Nobody likes salty turnip greens, amen? If I could say that. So it's a delicate situation. It's surveying who they are, scanning them. We've been where they've been, so we know what to say. And you also have the pool. No disrespect to affiliations or anything, but you have gangs that have pulled them in too. And so some of them want to get out of that, but the pull of it is too strong. And then the peer pressure of if I change, what's going to happen to me here?
Right.
So my approach is just an everyday down to earth, making sure that I don't seem that I'm better than them, but letting them know that I'm not beneath them, and reminding both of us that we're God's best.
Right.
When He created us. So that's pretty much my approach, and just walking the walk and talking the talk.
Okay, let me ask you this. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Because I know sometimes when I'm trying to talk to guys, and I've even had some people that would comment about this in emails that they might send me. It's like, Joe, why should anybody listen to you? You know what I'm saying? You've been in prison going on over 35 years now and all this and that. What would you say to somebody that's listening to the show right now and say, why should I listen to somebody that's been in prison 5 times? What would you say to them?
I would say to them, we were talking about dirt the other day, and he say, Lavelle, you old as dirt. I say, I'd rather be old as dirt than covered up in the dirt. So being 5 times, everybody's 5 times is different. And I'm a sports player, love basketball. I would say better to go to 5 Super Bowls and lose, but win the 6th one. So I would say I'm still here. I thank God for that. I still got plenty of meat on the bones. I get another chance to go out there and try to get this parole off of me and walk it down. And I would say before you would discredit my life and testimony because of the 5 times, you could look at it as, hey, this guy got 5 times worth of knowledge. And it's kind of like Jordan and Kobe. Why would I come and say something to them about their losses when they're all-time greats, Hall of Famers?
Yeah,
so I would tell the people hey, I got a message for you. Joe has a message for you. If it's no more than, hey, I've been here this long, going to the store to get some gas, riding with the wrong person can be the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Getting caught with a gun or drugs and 3 strikes you out could be a long time of your life. One mistake with the wrong crowd or getting high for the first time, a la land bias, could be the end of your life. So it's so much that we can glean to the youth, whether it's 5 times or the first time. So I just say, okay, God, here I am. I got something I can spread on, and pray that what I say keeps them just at 1 time and not 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Don't be like me. Don't keep messing up. Get it right the first time. It took me this long to finally get it right. But because you have something that I can never get. I can get money back. I can get a spouse. I can get a house. I can get property, land, and wealth. But the one thing I can't get back is those 30 years.
No, they're gone.
They gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
Now, I don't know how long I'm going to live, but I can spend the rest of my life speaking to guys, and if I can help somebody along the way to keep them from doing the amount of years that I've done and you've done all together. So that's what I would say to someone who would shun the fact, or he can't say anything to me, he's been there 5 times, this and that. So that's would be my report, because when I go home, I'm going to run into a lot of people who's not even going to know that I've ever been to prison.
And most of them, honestly, my son tells me this a lot when he's out, since he's been out there. A lot of them don't even care about that. They just want to know, are you doing okay?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How you doing in your life now? I'm glad you answered that like that, because I think a lot of times people that are in and out, or people like me that have been in and not out, they feel reluctant to offer up advice. They feel shackled by the shame of whatever the situation is that created the circumstances that they have to live in, so they won't say anything. And I appreciate that you are not doing that. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of courage to speak truth to a situation when you in the past participated in it.
If I could get this off, at our age, Joe, at 50 something, we'll lose that thought. And I would say sometimes, piggybacking on what you said about the guilt and shame, sometimes, oftentimes, it's the battle within ourselves.
Yeah.
On that way to work, or sitting at the bunk, or out on the ball field walking around to ourselves. Women have menopause, and we don't use these new terms, man versus male menopause. No, men have midlife crisis. When we get 45 to 55, did I do enough? Do I have enough in retirement? Did I save enough? Did I waste this amount of time with my life? So you have to, you spend so much time battling yourself that I don't even have energy to battle you. If you think this of me about 5 times, or you think this of me, I'm a bad person, or you think this about, I'm going to let you have that, pray for you, and continue to struggle and to succeed. The battle, as Joyce Meyer said, the battlefield of the mind. Every day I wake up, I have my own battlefield about my own mistakes. So I'm not going to spend energy, as we say, I'm not going to let you rent free space in my mind. Live rent free in my mind. So as I'm busy, you know how it goes around here. You have bullish envy. Somebody going to tell you to your face they don't like you, which those are the people I love. But you have the silent envies. Some people never going home, things of that sort, and all of that. So you have to weave and matriculate your way through that. And then when you go home, you still gonna have, I can't speak for you, but I know on the streets I made haters, and some people will hate you the rest of their life. So you got people that'll try to cross you out and get you back in the system again. So it's a constant going through the labyrinth, long word for maze, of life, trying to stay free once you get caught in the system and you're on parole, because parole is you're free on credit. One mistake. Somebody trying to get their cart back into the buggy rack at Target, and they know they're not going to get it in there, and it rolls down and bumps your car. I have to keep my composure, don't do what I would normally do if I wasn't put on parole, and handle it another way, because now we could get into it and it be my life, and because to stand your ground, and I was right. And what is the news line going to say? Oh, he was a 5-time felon on parole, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Then it goes on to the weather and sports of that sort. So it's a thinking man's game. You can't waste time on what society would say about you, which now society has changed from the 90s when we first came in to where they don't really they need us to work. And depending on what your charge is, as long as it's not nothing too serious, and I'm not going to say what kind of charges those are, but, so it's just a mental thing with yourself. Once you get over your own fears, guilt, shame, whatever word I could use to say I can do it, the little engine that said I know I can. Once you get over that part, then you're on your way to success and defeating those thoughts in your mind. If I would have stayed in school, went to college, I would be this far along. Guess what? I'm okay right where I am today. I have a job. I have transportation. I have shelter. I have clothing. I have food. I'm okay today with that. I'm not on drugs. Defeated that too. Might as well throw the whole true story in the 80s and everything, smoking crack and primos myself. And by the grace of God, I got tired of that because I knew I was better than that. So since New Year's Day of 2000 to me speaking to you now, I've been clean and sober.
That's good.
You know, so I thank God to that. So I'm a worn down battleship, the USS Cole.
Yeah.
I'm coming into port with a hole in my side to get patched up, but I'm ready to get patched up and get used by God through people like you on the street to share this wealth of knowledge and story. And as you said at the beginning of the show, real live, true experience, uncut, unedited. Not some rapper saying they got shot, but we know in the hood the gun went off in his pocket. I got bullet holes to match where I've been shot by somebody else 2 and 3 times. Stabbed 2 and 3 times. You know, on drugs. In institution, in prison. And my daughter calls me, Daddy, you a legend out West Nashville, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, I'm not. A legend is a dead person. You forgot one L. I'm a living legend.
Right.
I get to talk about it. And that's just by the grace of God, not bragging on any merits of my own. And I'm just glad to be here and glad to be on your show.
I appreciate that. Well, look here. We're going to have another talk. I'm sure that
Amen.
I'm sure that my listeners, you know what I'm saying, my family out there, because I call them my family, I'm sure they're going to have some questions and whatnot. So if it's okay with you,
that's awesome.
We can schedule another time to talk. And I want to thank you for taking the time to do this today.
Absolutely.
But y'all know what it is out there. You know what I'm saying? Time runs short, you know, and I got to keep it moving in here, right? And appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. And I would want to say to the crowd, with real tears in my eyes, I want y'all to applaud this man for coming up with the idea and having that F word behind him, favor, to where they let him do something like this. This is unheard of in this day and age, but favor, favor can get, this ain't a preaching show, but it's in me. But favor can, favor can get you through doors that other people can't do. And y'all ought to applaud Mr. Joe Baker for reaching out to the world with real life true stories about us in prison, because we're coming to you. We're coming to a theater near you. And so you should want us, you should pray for us that we don't come out mad, bitter, angry, and want to carjack and take your money at the bank and all kind of other things. Shows and people like Joe, myself, and all, we're trying to make society better. Like, as you said, the elephant in the room. How do you eat an elephant? One
bite at a time.
So we're trying to do it one bite at a time, and I thank you for that opportunity.
With that said, we're going to end this thing. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I said peace.
I'm getting so tired.